Man, my shit keep dying for some damn reason, and I don't like that. Uh, okay. Technical difficulty. Hold on. Here, y'all. Shit, give me something to listen to while I'm looking for this damn cable. I don't know if y'all hearing this shit or not. All right. Now I'm at least powered up. How y'all doing? Yeah. Check my signals. Yeah, I believe we can do this. Yeah. All right. I really been bojangling about doing these broadcast things just because, well, this very subject. This time last year, I was headed into a really profitable year and a career in the stagehand, live entertainment, theater industry and whatnot. And like many of us, all of a sudden, everything went to a screeching halt and forced a lot of us to literally sit and kind of like being almost in prison in your own resting place by way of, well, they told me to go home and sit and try not to get sick and wait until we can go back to work. Now, for many people who can't afford those kind of gestures or whatnot, I can understand that. But in the industry and the manner into which I've been working in this career since the mid 80s, this has been, part to the job. You work when the work is there, and then, you sit and wait for the more work to come in, and your seasons and whatnot. And we were just heading into the get that money season when all of this just hit, and for many other people, they had, been more, cautious in preparing for, they have a savings account, they'd have, a little money put away, they might have a money market, or they got a couple of credit cards they can basically fly around with, all of these other things. For me, I've been trying to work back into establishing that kind of structure. And last year was headed towards that. Okay, I could finally start being, a respectable, person in the community, and go out and get bad credit or good credit and the whole nine. And, but prior to that, ever since 9/11, I've had to learn how to start over in a way of speaking. And so I've been in this constant struggle since 2002 to 2021 now. And finally at a stage where, hey, man, I'm looking at a better end of almost six figures. I can probably get a life and afford, to actually, and poof. Now, that in itself would be enough for people to go into a certain depression or whatnot. But like I said, I've been going through this, we fall down, but we get up kind of fight in my life, probably all my life. And, living a faith-based life is not for the squeamish, but, the longer you do it, the more you, get good at least explaining why you're still doing it, that faith thing. I fall down, I slip, oh Lord, what am I going to do? And every time, for the past 50 something years, the Lord has made a way, whoever they are, or whatever sponsor I've got, or whatever, this, that, and the other, a lot better than a lot of other people. And, and for many people, they have a different kind of set of resources. Oh, go get with your family. Oh, this, that, and the other. I've been the man of the house. I've been, the get up and take care of your peoples and whatnot all my life, to a point where, my biggest motivation in my life is to not basically bear any discomfort on anyone else. So I'm trying to earn a way of retiring and, letting the military take care of me and some other things like that before I'd have to go home and sleep on my mom's floor, or something like that. And so, my kids have grown and they're doing really well and, got their hustle on, and I'm so proud of them, in lieu of the mere fact that, I was just talking with another friend of mine, and he and I were stationed at Cherry Point together. And we connected, and for that whole period of time that we were, rolling partners and stuff, we didn't, we weren't in the same platoon or company or battalion or whatnot, but, we stayed in the same barracks, and so my man Pope, this man, I've had several of those little things, and he was, it was really funny about that culture because, when I got out a little earlier than he did, he said something that was really enlightening to me. He was like, man, when I was with you, man, it was like we were somebody, oh man, famous. I mean, dang, it was like celebrity-ish and this, that, and the other. He said, when you left, I had to find a new friend. And that kind of hit me in a way because the one thing that I really honestly had to be grateful for at that very moment is I was talking to somebody who he and I had established a really true friendship. I mean, not down with your people's friendship outside of the family, this, that, and the other, and the mere fact that we were Marines. And that kind of quality of association or affiliation or companionship is rare in a lot of our cycles and circles of people in our life. And so, when this little epidemic thing hit in the whole nine, I found myself at least, blessed enough to be able to take that whole experience to date in this faith-based manner. And believe me, I'm not going to say that I'm good at it or anything. I've had days, I've had moments, and I've had time where I'm like, okay, how many, religious entities can I ask to, give me a sign, help me out, this, that, and the other. And yet, found that kind of Lord of the Rings kind of, life where they're like, just go where? When you get there, you will know. And do what? When you get there, you will know. This, that, man, come on, man. Take one foot in front of the, when you're sitting back on a close end of everything is moving on up. And then all of a sudden, boom, and it's not just you. It's everybody. I mean, before I can get on my pity party about me back into the struggle again, I'm looking out there and I'm starting to see people that are, that I work with that, yeah, I know I'm about to, be hurting and this, that, and the other. And they're sitting back there going, man, I just lost 11 gigs right now, and they're still counting up. He's like, man, that's like a month and a half of work right there, and I was, that's, man, that's, $30,000-$40,000. And I'm going, hold up, man, you're making $30,000-$40,000. I'm working with you. And when we working, you always, bugging out on me, about complaining about not getting work. And I'm learning something. I'm seeing something now. I'm thinking about the other people in my industry that I've been striving to get up into the possibilities of working alongside of them. The people that are literally almost enslaved into six figures of a life, where as soon as you get to that plateau, everybody says, yeah, I want to make this money, and not realize that, there's a responsibility comes with this, making this money thing, just like getting credit. In order for you to get credit, you have to, use it a lot and not necessarily pay it right back, but you got to play that little game. And the same in where I'm at with this. And I almost lost my train of thought on that one. But then I'm starting to see people that are sitting back there and they're like, oh, well, yeah, it's kind of hard for all of us, but a lot of those people in those levels of employment that I wanted to get to, they were at a state where they were prepared enough. They didn't want to, and they're sitting back there and they're like, yeah, man, I'm going to pull my retirement. I'm going to pull my annuity. I'm going to, do this, that, and the other. And you're sitting back and you're going, wow. And they're going, you know what? I was going to hold on for, maybe a couple more good years and retire then. But, I don't know why I want to do this right here. This is just way too hard. If I retire, I can actually have steady money. And I got some investments and I went up. And I've watched how some of these people that I admired, and wanted to work alongside, have already checked out of our industry, at least for now. They're, riding on retirement thing, and some of them have opened up shops, or one cat and his wife, they opened up a donut shop. I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. And then I realized, a lot of these people up in that era, are a lot of these people that for us in our society and some of our industries, like, this whole age gap thing that we had, you got baby boomers, you got Gen X, you got Y, you got Z, then you got the millennials, and you got all the other people like that. And this era and time that we're living in right now is unique because there's a awkward amount of adults, healthy adults of all of these generations up there. And due to the mere fact that the baby boomers aren't retiring, used to be, we all lived a life where people would, one day I'll leave this to you, my son, and you'll be this. And, I'm starting this company and, and I'll leave it to you one day and this, that, and the other. And they're just waiting until when are you going to, give me the company and pass it on and this, that, and the other. And, and realize now that, we got these boomers and these Gen X's and Gen Y's and Gen Z's that have been up in there. And they're just basically just finally getting up in there in the whole nine. And you're like, man, I'm hitting this glass ceiling because these old people are still sitting on it. And so, we're living in that kind of thing where now we're starting to see some people that are, finally starting to go, you know what, this is a young person's game, and I don't blame them. As a matter of fact, I really like to see people who decide to do that and then find something successful to do with the rest of their years, without threatening to come back and take, the position that somebody finally got it. Yeah, so. But what really, had me here and where I'm at talking about all this is this COVID culture and how it's feeding a spiritual depression. I've had my sleeping patterns all over the place. I mean, I'm good with getting up and doing the other thing. I've been freelancing and whatnot most of my life. So it's always been awkward for me to have a structured, get up 9 to 5, this, that, and the other. You got to blah, 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 and repeat, and that's why I love the industry that I worked in for so many years. And one of the things that kept me into that vein was, knowing that I had a purpose or things that needed to get done. I got to do all this. I got to go and shop and get some food. I got to do some laundry before I have to go back to this other gig. And this gig might last for a couple of hours or a couple of weeks, and so I have to prepare for that, and so you got up, you went to sleep with a purpose. You got up with a purpose. And then all of a sudden this quarantine, COVID shit happened. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting here in this kind of state where for the first couple of months, there were bits and pieces in there from March on into the summer where, many of us, I'm pretty sure, it was like myself who really honestly, was, kind of, dealing with not going out at all. If I didn't have to go to the store or do the laundry or something else like that, make sure that I'm set in, this, that, and the other. And I sat in so much that I got a new chair in March. By June, July, I had sat in that chair so much that the springs done messed up in there. And I'm damn near sitting on the floor. I mean, I didn't pay for the chair, but, just the mere fact that I put that much time in that chair. And then I start realizing that, all of the threats of don't go outside, this, that, and the other. And then finally people were like, well, can I exercise or something? How am I going to do this? Well, and, that's the reality for a lot of us, I'm sure. And that's why I'm, right here getting this off of my chest. And so after a while, it got to the point where, every day you were hoping that they can ring the bell and let us go back outside. And then you would see, mass things and, people. And then we got into the whole no mask culture and all this other stuff, and the Karens, and in the process of all of that, I found myself in a need of one thing I did. I hadn't had internet, and relied just on my phone. But, once this kicked in, I was like, I need it. And even though I got it, I still haven't been diligent and being more productive. And that's what this thing right here is. And had I, spent more time, just jibber jabbering out, for other people who might find any of this entertaining or enlightening, I probably would not feel as worthless, not necessarily worthless, but what am I going to do? You got people that, you're suffering over there. Why don't you go out and get another job or this, that, the other? And I'm going, look, you don't seem to understand. It's not that simple. I don't live a life where me going back out and doing a couple of shifts at the 7-Eleven is going to be able to cover my bills, And so by the grace of the Almighty's and whatnot, I've actually gotten by with the help from my friends, some industry grants. I didn't get my stimulus because I still have some paperwork. I'm still chasing W-2s from the last 2 years from certain clients. And apparently that's the only way that they'll give it to you, and so I'm sitting and, I'm realizing I'm talking with some of my coworker friends and whatnot, and we start, really confessing about how, I've been sitting so long that, if they were to call me back to work tomorrow, I would not be in any kind of shape to do that. I'm already huffing and puffing going up the stairs, you know, you're going, yeah. Talked with another coworker, and he said that we were losing muscle density, and it made sense when that same chair that I had sat, a hole in, that I just found on the street and carried it like 6 blocks, up into the house and moved it in and put it in here. So it was not, a challenge per se, until I went to pick it up. And for some reason, I got it about this far. And I'm like wondering, why are my arms the same arms that carried this damn thing 6 blocks and moved it all into the house and this, not being able to put this thing over my head so I can just go to the other side of the room. Density, and then there's well, why don't you just work out? You got everything to work out, and you're going, therein lies where the problem is, because on many a day you find yourself just hopelessly looking at screens and whatnot, or sitting there and, people go, why don't you get up and exercise? And you're going, yeah, okay. All right. While your exercise equipment grabs a little more extra dust. Knowing you got to make a happy medium, but that's where this depression and this lack of motivation gets to become a cycle. And I have been struggling with that personally. And I know that I'm not alone. I think where we are right now is at a good point that if you're watching this and you're feeling where I'm coming from, you might be able to benefit by realizing, this is the thing. We need to shake it. I really had a awakening when got lucky enough to get some work with the inauguration, but it was grunt work, setting up fences and stuff like that, which means, I'd been checking my little walk meter, and I thought I was okay with maybe 4,000 steps a day or something like that, just enough to justify being, and then I went out and they got to and go and working, and we humping and we puffing and I'm sounding like I'm about to fall out. And literally I was about to fall out. But, by the second, third day, I'm at the height of complaints. And yet, I looked at my walk meter, and it was like, well, the past couple of days, you've averaged about 147,000 steps. And I stuck it out for several more days until my sciatica and some other stuff kicked in, to the point where never had I dealt with this before, but the whole right side of my leg and whatnot was numb. And I was like, I'm not 16 no more, and I made enough money to, at least pay forward, most of my basic utilities or whatnot. But, I don't want to go back out there to try to make just a bit more, knowing that that shit's just going to go on taxes by that time, and end up, on a workman's comp move, for really doing damage. So in the process of that, I got home and I realized that as much as I hated sitting and resting and whatnot, after that melee of work that I did, the first couple of days were justifiable in doing just that, sitting and trying to heal and whatnot. And then all of a sudden I started noticing once again these times keep on slipping. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, man, I'm seeing some of the sunrise, but I'm seeing more of the moonrise. And and I'm getting back into this culture of whether I like it or not. My biggest challenge day to day is trying to beat the sun up in the bed, and then, trying not to mess up the whole day by sleeping too long. And, some of that's due to these planets and all this other stuff going on. So yeah. All right. But, it really gets me, because technically speaking, if I was capable of having more of a motivation. See, I think some of that, especially for me, is also due to the mere fact that I've been doing this alone. I ain't got friends or family to come through here, this, that, and the other. I mean, technically speaking, it's such a rarity to ever even consider, someone else walking in and whatnot, and so it's just me. And I'm very meticulous about trying to avoid being out and exposed. But when you're a person like me who lives and thrives off of being out in the masses, not just being out in the crowd, but being active and working and all the world's a stage, but you're a stagehand, and loving the traveling and the people meeting and all this other stuff like that. And yet all of that's back down there. And I find myself realizing that even as I'm talking to you right now, it's kind of awkward in knowing that if I don't do things like this and talk to this camera and this screen and this microphone, I probably won't open my mouth too much unless it's to eat. It's a damn shame. And I don't want to just, do it without this, make myself look even more crazy. So I think where I'm at with this is, we're also doing this Age of Aquarius stuff and everything is happening. And you can tell that the Earth and the Moon and the planets are also affecting this, that, and the other. And maybe for many of us, this whole COVID epidemic thing might have been a saving grace for a lot of people who, have found themselves not too comfortable with just the spiritual aspects of all of these shifts and retrogrades and stuff that we've gone through while we've gone through everything else. And if you don't believe me, look at some of the intensity of some of the stuff that we've seen on the media with people who basically would never be that crazy. And they're like flipping. And why you flipping, man? I'm inside, I'm this, that, the other, I'm so on, just flipping, man. And, and I'm going, okay, I'm focusing. There's got to be more to this than just, sometimes you just got to let it out and be crazy. No, this is not the time for that because we're going into the first rotation of the first year of this Age of Aquarius stuff. And a lot of people out here are not faring very well. I've lost, for many of us, it's gotten to a point where, last year was such a year that the one thing that makes you cringe more than anything else is trying to account for all the losses that have occurred. And you're going, man, and we're going to another, when was this doggone crazy thing end? Jane, stop this crazy thing. And yet here we are. And for a lot of people, they can't see it like I see it because at least I'm accustomed and I'm used to understanding that, what I need to do is get some good gigs. Not what I need to do is get a steady job so I can look stable. I've never been stable, but I've been, progressive, 50-something years almost at this point. So, and yet, when people say, so what do you do? So do you work? So how do you live? Because you're saying that sometimes you work or sometimes you don't. And I'm going, yeah, but when I work, I make really good money. And if I'm really crafty at working this out, I do okay. And most people, 9 to 5-ish mentality people, they don't get it. They can't get it. And therefore, you just suck to be you. But I'm really, really, really noticing how I would love to really honestly shake this COVID lack of motivation, depression thing in my own spot. I finally get a place that has all the aspects of things that I could do to keep myself productive, if I wasn't working, and I'm not working. And I'm watching all of this stuff. Look at me going, yo, now you got a time. You can play your drums more. You can do this right here. You can write a book. You can this, that, the other. You can do all of these other things. And by that time, that list gets so big that you go, I need a nap. Maybe some of this is some of that PTSD shit that I got from the Marine Corps. I'm hoping they'd give me back my credentials or whatnot. In the meantime, I really feel that we as Americans, really honestly are actually, in a better shape than as a whole than we've been as humans. God damn it. I got a cramp like a motherfucker. That cough was a cough. I need to do more crunches. And I know that it doesn't sound really logical for a lot of people because it doesn't feel good right now, but I remember back in the early mid 60s and early 70s when we would go and visit our family in the country. And it was really country. I mean, country like, you would go in there and they'd be like, you ain't got a television? You ain't got a toaster? And yet there were whole cultures of people that you really dug that you couldn't believe didn't have, the amenities that other people live by and whatnot. And we're at a point in place now where, due to the convenience of all of this technology now, we've got too many people that are exposed to too much information that they don't know what to do with it, and it gets a hold of them, and next thing you know, we've got this culture now where you got people that I believe in this one, I believe in that one, I'm this, that, and the other, I'm so on, so on, so on. So they really honestly believe that there's a party war and all this other stuff like that. And you're going, dude, we're all in this thing together, man. I mean, if anything happens on that block right now, everybody on that block is going to have to fight for it. That's what it's about. But you can't say that when you still got lots of people that are literally dealing, that you got people out there that are literally dealing with the mere fact that, they're still in that not my daughter mentality. And yet we're so far past all of that other stuff that half of the pain and suffering that these people are facing to make them want to travel all the way to the Capitol and do some dumb stuff and whatnot is just the mere fact that they're sitting in their homes and their communities that are at the height of all hell no. That would never happen on my block, in my community, and this, that, and the other so far. And we're running out of real estate on this earth. Half of the problem we got with half of the people that we're dealing with is just the mere fact that they've never experienced cultures everywhere else or in a lot of other places to just allow them to understand, just because you want to be special, you ain't that special. But as an American, you're more special than you think. But not for what you thought. And, I've been lucky enough to be able to recall many of vivid memories of my family and the civil rights and us traveling and all these other things. And, the conversations, the rap sessions that they would have with all of these other brilliant students and people and whatnot that were all supporting, you know, the movement and this, that, and the other, and listen to a lot of the things that I recall people sitting back there going, you know, I really want everything to be nice and this, that, and the other, but I doubt there'll ever be a person of color in the White House. And, you know, I've had times where, like when I moved up here and from Atlanta, and I've been working down there for about 25 years, and respectfully. And I get up here and all of a sudden I go do a Black Caucus event. And I walk in a room and every last person on the call, sound guy, light guy, engineer, manager, boss, all of that, we're all Black. Or from what I saw was all Black. And I'm flipping. I'm going, man, I know 4 or 5 people right now that I'd love to, should have been smartphones back in that day. It had been out there. And I'm going, will you look at this? Every last dollar being spent in this room is going into Black pockets. You know, knowing that I would literally get some kind of, reply from, you know, many of the good old boys that I've befriended, you know, in my earlier career. And yet everybody in that room was looking like, where's this guy come from? And what the hell is he talking about? And what stuck out the most is that these people have been living and working in their area, in their craft and everything in that environment so long that they've never had to venture out because the money was too good here. And I'm like, man, you know, you need to go to Texas. You need to go to Arkansas. You need to go to some of these other places and walk up in that damn thing with the same kind of attitude you got. And then have to face the first thing. They're going, wait a minute, boy. And you're going, oh, shit. No, you didn't. Just because they ain't never seen nothing like you before. It take you half of the day, you know, of trying to get the shit working or whatnot before some of them will come along. And you know what? For a Black guy, you're all right. You know, and you're pretty good with a hammer, too. You know, and we still got a lot of that left to do for a lot of these people that can't quite get the mere fact that there ain't no right or to the left, you know, and just because they mad about this whole Black Lives Matter thing or something like that, it's because as quiet as it's kept, at the point that Black lives matter, there'll be so many other lives that will benefit from it. That whatever you think you want to go back to and make great again, you won't want it. You know, it's been the same damn issue since they started putting stars on the flag. So if you know anything, and I'm pretty sure that you don't because, well, the majority of the citizens of the United States of America are miseducated, something awful, regionally, in their own little way. And none of them wants to get up off of that and just realize, you know, I've been bamboozled too. Because back in those eras and days, the 40s and early, you know, before, right after Reconstruction, you know, it was a whole different manner. You know, there were, you know, big bosses and then there was little bosses. And, you know, Lyndon B. Johnson had it right when he was talking about how, you know, you can take the lowest white man, you know, and as long as they believe that they are better than someone else, they won't even care that you're picking their pockets. And here we are in that state, and yet nobody wants to relate to just what I just said, because that's the $1 million answer to the $5 question. And I'm really glad that I invited someone into my madness enough to just speak instead of just sitting. Because when I'm sitting, I'm thinking of everything that I'm saying right now. And I'm glad that right now I'm just getting some of it out. And I don't know how much time I've allowed to have on this damn thing or not. But we're just going to roll with this, whether they like it or not, and we'll see. So, basic bottom line to this whole thing if you're still with me, is, we can all get by with a little help from our friends. That's why I got my Cash App thing in there, and you can get a hold of me any other kind of way you want to. Nothing says thank you like cash, and even Johnny Cash. Anywho, and I think by doing this, regardless if anybody else watches this or not, I'll get one more view, because no matter how far I've gone long in this broadcast, knowing that I ain't going to be going to sleep anytime soon anyway, I'm going to replay this for myself as it's loading into YouTube, and try to find some therapeutic assistance in it, because I'm an imperfect human, and I'm in this life game at my age, at this time, on uncharted territories like so many other people. And I didn't get to this point like a lot of people were conditioned to do. You go to school, you get yourself a wife, you get married, have some kids, and you stick it out, and y'all go on to retire together and stuff like that. And I'm going, nope. That just wasn't in the cards for me yet. But living a purposeful life has been something that I've dwelled in all my life. It's been the reason for me to get up when I really don't feel like getting up, and to try to get, a couple of winks of rest because I have to be back up, or, I got to push it, or, even when I know that I'm in no kind of condition, I go out and I go straight into some plantation shit that, technically speaking, if it didn't kill me, which it didn't, even though I paid for it, I'm breathing a little better. And I realized if I had been able to push myself at the intensity that I ended up being pushed at for just that week, I would be in a state where I'm at. And a couple of weeks ago, never had I thought that I would at least be in that state. And I think that's a part of this faith-based journey too. A lot of times when we get to a point where we're starting to, reflect on a lot of the woes as me's right now, it's good for us to include some of those. You know what, though? You're doing a whole lot better than Bubba down the street. This, that, and the other. You know what? I'm glad I didn't spend that. This, oh man, this is the best doggone, purchase I made. I can do some things with that, and try to, reach out to other people, because I know I need this too. Like that handy little skit where he goes, you know what? You're good enough. You're smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like you. That's the best we're going to have. I'm digging this mask stuff too, because it's been wiping away some of this racial tension in some cases or whatnot, because I'm starting to realize, sometimes you might want to whisper something or say something or this, that, and the other, half of the expressions on your face, most of the expression on your face is from this point down. So, in a lot of cases, you don't feel like, why you mean mugging me? Because you can't see them mean mugging you. And I think in some ways it's become effective for some people to be able to get out there and, and you're going, okay, that's kind of, we have to start finding a lot of brilliance in our BS, and every now and then, hopefully, we can spur enough energy to actually be brilliant with the BS that we've got just sitting around, that we were always wishing that we can, indulge in our hobbies, or, or work out, or, finally see those movies, or, something that actually makes you appreciate it like we appreciated the things that we did back when we were working for it. And you be working, man, I can't wait to get off, man. What you gonna do when you get off? I ain't gonna do nothing. You know, that's where I'm at with this, man. And I don't know if you're at that too, but I think I'm gonna let y'all have this. You know, this is WNDC, NDC. WNDC stands for We in the Crib, as you can see, and you ain't. NDC. I'm easy to find, and always open for a donation, a smile, a pat on the back. You know, and made that return tenfold. You good?